Hello students, my name is Asma Babbani and I teach in Modern English High School. Today I am going to explain you chapter 6 of Social Science grade 7, that is Administrative System and Architecture during the Medieval Age. Let's start the chapter. Kasam Mir's Lok Dairo, a group of folk singers, was organized in the village square, Chowk, and the entire village had gathered there at night. Small children had already taken their positions in the front row. Patriotic songs were also being sung at the Lok Dairo, along with the folk songs. Utsav liked the Palia recital, songs sung in honor of martyrs, very much. The next day, he asked his grandfather, "Grandfather, what does Palia mean?" His grandfather told him that a Palia is a memorial commemorating the heroes. It is a tribute to martyrs who have sacrificed their lives while protecting and ensuring the welfare of the people. These Palyas are worshipped during festivals and songs are sung as homage to these martyrs. This is the culture of our country. Students, Palya is a type of a memorial found in Saurashtra and Kutch regions of Gujarat state in India. It commemorates the death of a person, that is martyrs, and these stone monuments have symbols and inscriptions. Utsav and his friends requested his grandfather, "Grandfather, please enlighten us about the culture of our country." "Wait," said Grandpa. He went in and came back with some pictures. He then asked Utsav, "Can you see temples in these pictures? It seems as if these stones have their own stories to narrate, isn't it?" Today, I shall tell you about the civilization and culture of the Rajput age. Administrative system during the Rajput age. During the Rajput era, India was not ruled over by any one king. India was divided into big and small states, and the extent of each kingdom dependent on the king's military prowess. You have been briefed about the Rajput kings and dynasties in the previous chapter. In this chapter, you will learn about their administrative system, literature, architecture, and external invasions during that time. Students, the administration of the Rajput state was based on caste system. Only the people of the higher caste were associated with the administration, and the boundary of the kingdom was completely dependent upon the power of the king's military. Administrative system. After the 7th century, various Rajput dynasties ruled in India. However, even though different dynasties came to power, there was little change in the administrative system. Though kingship was hereditary, it was not compulsory that the eldest son would always automatically become the next king. The heir apparent selected by the king was called the crown prince. In some cases, even people and ministers elected or selected their king. For example, while in Kashmir, King Yashaskara was selected and enthroned by the Brahmin group. In Gujarat, Kumar Pal was selected as the successor by the Council of Ministers. The ministers were appointed to assist the king to administer and manage the kingdom effectively. Yet, at times, people became victims of poor or wrong administrative policies. Students, the administrative system of the Rajput age had the format of monarchy. The position of king succeeded in generations. The son preferred by the king as his successor was considered Yuvraj, that is, crown prince. It was not mandatory that only the eldest son could hold the position of king. Sometimes people or courtiers elected or selected their king. For example, Yashaskar, the king of Kashmir, was made to sit on the throne by a group of Brahmins. Some members of secretariat offered the throne to Kumarpal. Secretaries were appointed to assist the king in the administration. Kings carried out administration keeping in view the good of people and general welfare of people. Sometimes subjects had to tolerate a lot because of maladministration of the king. During the Rajput age, there was feudal administration system. panchayats and village assemblies conducted local administration. Students, let's discuss the think box. The first question is, what kind of administrative system does our country follow? In our country, we have federal democratic administrative system. We have got central or national and state governments. The national level government is called central government or union government. The state level government is called state government. What kind of administrative system was prevalent during the British rule? During the British rule, we had autocratic and uncontrolled administrative system. The Britishers set administration according to their wishes and whims. How were the ministers selected in ancient times? In the ancient times, kings appointed ministers of their preference. How are ministers selected today? In the present times, we have democracy in our country. Governor invites the party with majority support in legislative assembly to form the government. The leader of the party with majority becomes the chief minister. The chief minister submits the list of names from the elected persons to the governor. The governor appoints them as ministers. In the present times, the cabinet of ministers is formed in this way. Administrative system in the villages. Village institutions were very important during the medieval period. The panchayat looked after its administration. The head of the panchayat was called Mukhi or Sarpanch, and he was responsible for protecting and delivering justice to the villagers. His was the final word. Still, in many cases, the Gram Sabha would also give verdict and punish culprits. Even today, at the village level, the Gram Panchayat or the elders of the Panchayat provide guidelines to the people. At that time, land revenue was the main income of the kingdom. Each kingdom had different ways of collecting land revenue, but usually the sixth part of the cultivation was taken as the land revenue. Apart from this, other taxes were also levied on the people. Different officers were appointed for different activities. Moreover, taxes were collected at ports and octroi points. Landlords collected the tax and paid tribute to the kings. Students, in the medieval India, panchayats carried out administration in villages. The head of the village, Mukhi or Sarpanch, took the responsibility and carried out the duties of security and judiciary of people. King was the supreme head of judiciary. Still, in certain cases, village assembly rendered justice and punished the guilty. One-sixth yield of land was recovered in the form of taxes. Feudal lords collected the taxes and paid them as tribute to the king. Besides, taxes were collected from toll booths and ports. Literature. During the Rajput age, there was a lot of religious writing as well as literature of various kinds. Scholars and education received great patronage from kings. Many literary works were composed in Sanskrit, Prakrit, Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, etc. The great Sanskrit poet Magh composed the epic Shishupal Vadha. This epic describes the killing of Shishupal by Sri Krishna. Similarly, another poet, Sri Harsh, wrote the epic Naishada Charita, which is about the story of Nal and Damayanti. Even songs by Radha and other gopis sung in praise of Lord Krishna were presented in a lyrical manner. The biography and achievements of the kings were also composed in a poetic manner. Hemchandracharya wrote Kumarpal Charita based on the life of the Solanki king of Gujarat Kumarpal, and a grammar book Siddhem Shabdanushasana. As the title indicates, the names of King Siddharaj Jaisingh and Hemchandracharya are associated with this book. This book was considered so important that it was placed on an elephant during a procession in Patan. Not only poetry but plays were also written during that time. Bhavbhuti wrote Uttaram Charita, while Pandit Narayana composed Hitopdesh, a collection of stories based on the Panchtantra. Either your school or a nearby library must be having books containing collection of stories or folk tales. Let us now do a reading activity. Author Vishakha Datta. His work is Mudra Rakshasa. Author Kalhar. His work is Raj Tarangini. Author Bilhan. His work is Vikramaka Dev Chand. Author Somdev. His work is Katha Sarit Sagar. Author Chand Bardai has written Prithviraj Raso, Meru Tunga, Prabodh Chintamani. Students, in the medieval ages, kings patronized the learned. They encouraged educational activities. During this age, many important volumes in Sanskrit, Prakrit, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and many other languages were composed. In this age, the great poet Magh composed the epic Shishupal Vadha. In the epic, he has narrated how Lord Krishna killed Shishupal. The great poet Sri Harsha had composed the epic Naishada Charita, in which he described the love story of Nal and Damayanti. Jain Muni Hemchandracharya wrote a volume, Kumarpal Charita, based on the life of Kumarpal, a king of Solanki dynasty of Gujarat. Besides, he wrote a volume on grammar named Siddhem Sabdhanushasan. A procession to honor the volume was taken out on the elephant's howdah in Patan. In this age, Bhavbhuti wrote a Sanskrit play named Uttaram Charit. The poet Kalhan wrote Raj Tarangini. Several other literary volumes like Mudra Rakshasas of Vishakha Datta, Vikrama Dev Charit of Bilhan, Katha Sarit Sagar of Somdev, Prithviraj Raso of Chand Bardai, Prabodh Chintamani of Merutung were composed in this age. In this age, based on Panchtantra, Narayan Pandit wrote a collection of tales named Hitopdesh. The medieval ages boasted of a noteworthy development in the sphere of literature. Architecture. Among the various constructions during the Rajput age, temple construction is noteworthy. The Rajput kings were fond of constructing grand and artistic buildings. The architecture and sculpture of that time is evident from the temple, forts, palaces, lake, etc. Students, the kings in the medieval ages were greatly fond of constructing gorgeous and artistic mansions. The chief constructions among them are temples, forts, ponds, palaces, lakes, wells, etc. Among the temples, Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh and the Puri temple of Lord Jagannath are famous for their architecture and sculpture. The Sun temple of Konark was also built during that time. The Konark temple was constructed with great finesse and was shaped like a chariot driven by 7 horses. Among the other sun temples of India, the Martand temple of Kashmir and the Modhera Sun temple of Gujarat are famous. A prominent feature of the Modhera Sun temple is that the first rays of the sun fall directly on the idol. Students, during medieval age, well-known architectures like Khajuraho temple of Madhya Pradesh in North India, Puri temple of Bhubaneswar, the Sun temple of Konark, Martand temple of Kashmir, Sun temple of Modhera in Gujarat, Somnath temple of Lord Shiva near Veraval, small temples of Delwada on Mount Abu were constructed. Students, there are many temples of sun god in India. The most renowned one is the Sun temple of Konark in Orissa. This marvelous piece of art was built during the Rajput age. It has been given the shape of a chariot driven by 7 horses. The brilliance of this temple has been praised all over the world. The Sun temple of Modhera is located in the Mehsana district of Gujarat. It is also an excellent piece of architecture because it has been built in such a way that the first rays of the sun directly fall on the idol in the temple. Apart from these two temples, the Martand temple of Kashmir is also equally famous. Many grand and famous temples of India have been built during the Rajput age. Khajuraho temple in Madhya Pradesh and Puri temple in Bhubaneswar of Orissa are very famous for their architecture and sculpture. The Meenakshi temple of Madurai is equally famous. Just like Meenakshi temple, almost all the temples of South India have gopurams. Gopurams are grand and decorative entrances made in front of the South Indian temples. The grand and mythical temple of Somnath is also very famous. The Ellora caves of the Deccan have caves representing three religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. One among these is the Grand Kailash Temple. The Elephanta caves near Mumbai have a beautiful three faced sculpture of Lord Shiva. The Meenakshi temple at Madurai is famous all over India. The temples of South India are specially well known for their imposing gateways called Gopurams. After hearing about the fame of such grand temples, many foreign invaders came to loot them. The magnificent Somnath temple of Gujarat was attacked many times. Many caves were painted and decorated during the Rajput era. There are caves depicting the culture of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism in the Ellora caves of Maharashtra. Among all the caves of Ellora, the cave in which the Kailash temple is located is very grand and artistic. The Elephanta caves near Mumbai are also beautifully carved and sculpted. There is a beautiful sculpture of the three faced Lord Shiva in these caves. The temples and caves of India were so artistic and minutely carved that many foreign invaders have tried to loot and plunder them many times. Students, in South India, there are caves of Hindu, Buddha, and Jain religions at Ellora. The Kailash temple among them is splendid. The Elephanta caves on an island in the Arabian Sea near Mumbai are worth watching. The three faced sculpture of Lord Shiva there is well known. Meenakshi temple of Madurai is famous nationwide. The gorgeous tall entrances known as Gopuram are a specialty of the temples in South India. There was a considerable development in sculpture and architecture in this age. Mahmud Ghazni. Though the Rajput age is well known for its valor and sacrifice, it also saw the construction of many beautiful and imposing buildings. Many foreign invaders invaded India during this period. Mahmud Ghazni, the Sultan of Ghazna, attacked India many times between 1000 CE and 1075 CE. In spite of facing problems during the attacks, he continued to plunder India with full force. During one such attack, when Gujarat was under Bhimdev Solanki's rule, he plundered Somnath. Many people from Saurashtra and Gujarat joined Bhimdev Solanki and tried to protect Somnath but failed. Students, Rajput age is well known for its glorious structures and grand buildings. Rajput kings are valiant warriors and are famous for their sacrifice. The structures and buildings built during the Rajput age were so artistic and minutely carved that many foreign invaders tried to loot and plunder them many a times. These invaders invaded India and tried to carry away many of her valuables, precious statues, and many wonderful pieces of art. One such invader was Muhammad Ghazni, the Sultan, the king of Ghazna. He attacked India numerous times between 1000 to 1075 AD. Each time he came to India, he was given a tough fight by the Rajputs, yet he somehow managed to loot and plunder our nation. Once he tried to attack the Somnath temple of Gujarat. King Bhimdev Solanki was the ruling king at that time. The king and his army, as well as the people of Saurashtra and Gujarat, all of them joined hands and fought with Muhammad Ghazni, yet he managed to loot Somnath. Change of power at Delhi. After the demise of Mahmud Ghazni, the leaders of Ghazna started vying for the throne. However, the Rajput kings did not take advantage of this weakness. Meanwhile, Shahabuddin Ghori established his strong rule in Ghazna and decided to attack India. His intention was not to loot but establish his rule here. Students, after Muhammad Ghazni died, many leaders fought among themselves to acquire the throne of Ghazna. However, the honest Rajput kings of India did not take the advantage of this situation. They did not want to fall into conspiracy and grab power over Ghazna. Then Shahabuddin Gori became the king of Ghazna. He was a strong and ambitious ruler. Just like Muhammad Ghazni, he also planned to attack India. However, his intention was not to loot or plunder India like Ghazni, but to establish his rule in India. Initially, he wasn't successful. He could not forget his defeat by Queen Naiki Devi of Anhilwad Patan and therefore did not attack India for 12 years. Finally, the second time he attacked Delhi. Students, initially when he attacked India, he could not succeed. Queen Naiki Devi of Anhilwad Patan gave a tough fight to Shahabuddin Ghori and defeated him. Ghori could not forget this defeat for a long time. Therefore, he did not attack India for 12 years after this defeat. But again, after 12 years, he attacked Delhi. Prithviraj fought bravely but without any prior preparation or help from the other Rajput kings. With this defeat, the Rajput rule came to an end in Delhi. As a result, Shahabuddin established his rule there and extended his kingdom. After Shahabuddin, his slave, who was also his commander, Qutbuddin Aibak, ascended the throne. He was known as the founder of the slave dynasty. With this, Rajput rule came to an end in Delhi. There was a change in the administration and society. What kind of changes took place and why? Think about questions like this. In place of valor and sacrifice, people started conspiring against each other for power. The throne of Delhi was stained with blood. Students, Prithviraj Chauhan was the king of Delhi at that time. He fought bravely against Ghori in the Battle of Terai. Yet he was defeated because none of the Rajput kings supported him in this battle against Ghori. With this, the Rajput era came to an end in Delhi. Shahabuddin Ghori became the king of Delhi after defeating Prithviraj Chauhan. He expanded his kingdom by conquering more and more territories. After Shahabuddin Ghori, his slave Qutbuddin Aibak became the king. Qutbuddin Aibak is considered the founder of the Ghulam dynasty in India. The Rajput era ended and the Ghulam age began in India. Students, here we end our chapter 6, Administrative System and Architecture during the Medieval Age. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon for the latest updates.